Hey everybody, John from Movie Burners here, and today I'm going to be discussing a film which has obviously been out for 5 weeks in most places now. That is the hugely successful Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Now, I don't think you'll find a more divisive film than this one. It's obviously attracted a lot of negative feedback in many sections of the Star Wars fandom. Some have even taken to aggressively creating bots on certain movie review sites to bring down the user score. And this is not to say that every detractor of a film has been doing this, or is wrong to be airing their grievances, because they absolutely aren't. Films are a very subjective thing at the best of times, and this film is clearly very divisive, as I said. A good chunk of the fandom actually dislike it. But enough of that hysteria surrounding all the negatives. What did I make of it? Now, I've obviously discussed this film with Stephen shortly after the release, just coming out of his theatre the first time I seen it, and I did a written review a couple of weeks ago as well, but today I'm going to do a short audio review, because why not? I thoroughly enjoyed the film the first time I seen it. I know a lot of people say this is the type of film you have to go in and watch multiple times to wrap your head around it, but I was privy to some of the spoilers prior to seeing it the first time, and I think this actually aided me in a strange sort of a way, because I didn't go in with any expectations. It lowered my expectations. I knew what was coming in a way, and I was able to enjoy the film. And certainly the second time I seen it, I enjoyed it again, and I picked up on small details that I missed the first time, as you usually do with films of this ilk. I mean, I've been a Star Wars fan since I was 4 or 5 years of age, really as long as I can remember, and I can't be accused of being a Disney shill, because I am a complete nobody. Just giving my thoughts on a film, and I loved the film. But some of the criticisms that have been getting levelled at the film have been coming from people who have theorised on various different story arcs and plot points which were left hanging in the balance from J.J. Abrams' mystery box that was The Force Awakens. And it really does beg a question, what were these people expecting? Were they expecting every single thing that they imagined and envisaged for The Last Jedi to become true? Were they expecting a 3.5 hour film picking on every single individual thing that they wish for? I don't know, you'd need to ask them. But certainly Rian Johnson's got a reputation for being a very good writer, going dark in tone with his films, and being just a good director. And he's obviously a Star Wars fan too, and I think he's lived up to that reputation with this film. What he's gave us here is a very satisfying film. It's hugely entertaining, develops and embellishes upon some of the newer characters, not all of them, which I will get into, and whilst offering satisfying progression for the older characters too. And quite frankly, it shakes up a mythology in a universe that was in danger of repeating itself ad infinitum. He tied up 2 of the major loose ends for me quite satisfactory, them notably being Rey's parentage. She was a nobody in this film, and that's something I'm not perturbed by at all. If she's a nobody, she's a nobody. I never was really in that whole train of thought that she has to be a Skywalker or whatever to make her important to the film. That's nonsense. And the other one is obviously Snoke. Was he Darth Plagueis? Was he bigger than the sum of his parts? And it turns out he's not. He's just a weird looking old chap with very bushy eyebrows who is quite a powerful force user, and he gets cut down in spectacular fashion. And he tied these ends up, and I was happy with what he'd done with them. Luke Skywalker was another bone of contention with many of the film's detractors. Luke has always been my favourite Star Wars character, and I thought Rian Johnson did well with his character in this film. He didn't go down the path I would have personally have chose. I would have loved to have seen him ignite a lightsaber at some point, literally, and cut some people down, but having had time to think about it, that isn't really the way of the Jedi. They're peacekeepers, they're anti-violence, and it's certainly not the way of Luke. If you remember back to the Return of the Jedi, he throws his lightsaber away when he's goaded with the Emperor, and he chooses non-violence, and this is what he does in this film, and I thought it was intelligently handled, and I loved that end shot of him facing up to the First Order's might. It was a spine-tingling experience in the cinema the 2 times that I've seen it, and everything about it was great, and it was my favourite scene in the film. I thought Mark Hamill was utterly incredible as Luke Skywalker. It's probably his best live action performance to date. Certainly it's his best performance as Luke Skywalker. I thought he portrayed all the hardship, loss and emotions that have also been running through Luke throughout this troubled time that he's been going through after the demise of his Jedi Academy. And he was a tad grouchy at times, and he'd obviously fell so low that he was taken to drinking green milk out of the udder of a hideous looking walrus creature. But for the most part I loved Luke in this, and I love Mark Hamill in this. I thought Princess Leia was handled very well too. The late Carrie Fisher was much improved on her showing from The Force Awakens here too. I thought she had a meteor role, obviously more dialogue heavy. She was practically mute in The Force Awakens, and I was pleased to see her have a moment with Luke Skywalker. It would have been a crime against humanity if they didn't share a moment together. In terms of visuals, I thought the film was utterly stunning, and probably the most visually impressive Star Wars film today, which is quite an achievement when you think back to the much maligned prequels. They were pioneering in that aspect at the time. I loved the use of various different wide shots, the notable ones being Luke and Kylo facing off, the shot of Luke facing the walkers, and even that lightsaber fight with Snoke's bodyguards. I thought that was very, very impressive. And then you also had that incredible shot of General Holdo's ship jumping to hyperspace and crashing into Snoke's supremacy, which is one of the most jaw-dropping moments. The 2 times I seen it, the theatre was in complete silence during that, and that speaks volumes for the impact of that film. Visually incredible. Even Canto Bight, which I despised, popped and really reminisced up images of the prequel trilogy. Now, speaking of Canto Bight, obviously Finn and Rose go off on a side arc running synchronously to the main story, and this was just terrible. It disrupted the pacing. It was way off in terms of tone to the rest of the film, and it felt like a really convoluted way to set up the showdown at the end on Crate. It obviously introduced Benicio del Toro's character as well, who was incredibly disappointing and rather poor, and he was a stuttering wreck. He had a weird druggy stutter. And this plot, side plot if you like, really was the worst thing in The Last Jedi, and everybody seems to be in general agreement with that one. It had a weird anti-animal cruelty thing going on, some really corny dialogue, and yeah, it was terrible. In terms of Kylo and Rey, I loved the dynamic of their relationship in this film. I wanted so much more of them in this film. I loved the Force FaceTime thing. It was explained well, and it really opened up more new possibilities for the Force, which this film does in general. I thought Rey was fantastic. She was obviously struggling to find her place in the universe whilst getting trained with Luke. And on the other side of things, you had Kylo in much the same vein under the tutelage of Snoke, and he was really under a sustained bout of bullying in this film at the hands of Snoke, and which is why I was really delighted when he cut him down in the fashion that he did. Adam Driver is a brilliant actor, and he's really showing his mettle as this trilogy continues. And I understand now why JG handpicked him for the role. He wasn't an actor I was massively familiar with. I haven't watched Girls, but I'm certainly keeping an eye on him now, and he's quickly becoming my favourite actor in this trilogy. Daisy Ridley was obviously criticised in some sections of the fandom for her performance in this film. They says that she delivered some of her lines quite woodenly, but I never noticed this at all. I must have been enjoying the film too much to pick up on it, instead of nitpicking and trying to throw my toys out the pram at every opportunity. She was absolutely fine for me, and I think Rian Johnson even reined back her overpowered abilities, if you'd like, to perhaps pacify the Mary Sue Brigade, as I call them. Now, I can't really discuss this film without speaking about some of the side characters. I thought Poe and General Hux in particular were quite good for different reasons. Oscar Isaac got a more meatier role in this film. I think he's an incredibly talented actor, and I was delighted to see that. He learnt a valuable lesson, the character of Poe in this film, about reining in his impulsiveness, and he's also getting handed the resistance going forward. Hux was used as comedic levity for the most part in the film, and certain parts of it didn't work. For instance, the opening shot of him having the whole call with Poe, but for the most part it really worked, and I loved his slyness. Domhnall Gleeson really owns that character, and he's another actor I enjoy for the most part. Musically, what can we say about John Williams? The man is the greatest film composer of all time for me, and he returns to score this film, and it's as brilliant as ever from the man. There's not many new themes in there, but I feel there wasn't enough new characters to really justify new themes being introduced to the film. But what he certainly does is he implements various classic themes together and adds some new takes on them, and he does it to a really startling effect with the spark and that shot of Luke Skywalker going out to face the walkers being the one that sticks in my mind. Really, it's like a reworked, uplifted, heroic take on the Imperial March, and I really loved it. And incidentally, Yoda has a great scene in this film, and the scoring in that is another example of this reworking of certain themes and putting them together to make something new. And Yoda was great. Incidentally, I love the eccentric personality we all love from Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, and the puppet looked amazing. So props to Frank Oz there. As I said, this is a very divisive film, and much of the hate does seem to stem from two main issues. Firstly, predetermined fan theories, as I said, not coming true, and the apparent callous way in which much of the mythology and original trilogy characters were thrown out. But this isn't an issue for me. As I said, I was pleased with the way the characters were dealt with in the main, and I was really happy to see the mythology freshened up. There's a misconception in Star Wars fandom that you must be from a famous lineage like a Skywalker or Kenobi to be anything of worth going forward in the saga films. This is something that's not true for me, but hey, it's all subjective, as I said. Overall, I think the positives more than outweigh the negatives in The Last Jedi. There's been much hysteria surrounding this film. It's not perfect by any means, but for me it's another brilliant addition to the Star Wars saga. It felt like a Star Wars film, and it opens up so many possibilities going forward. It's really added freshness to the franchise for me. Luke, even though he's passed away, still has a role to play in the film for me. The fate of the Resistance hangs in the balance, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how J.J. Abrams comes in and ties it all up in episode 9. I would have no issues recommending this to the majority of fans if for whatever reason you've not managed to go and see it, and if you haven't, Jesus Christ, there's something wrong with you. It's been out for 5 weeks now. I will be giving this a 4.5 out of 5 because it's a damn good film. Remember guys, if you're enjoying the content we're putting out, then be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes, and give us a little follow on Facebook at Movie Burner Entertainment and on Twitter at Movie Burners. You can also catch up with all the latest reviews we're putting out at the Movie Burner blog on movieburnerentertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.